Hello. As you can see, today we are back talking, this is really high, about the astronomy for astrology. Okay, you're not going to be able to see me very well today because I got this up pretty high. Let's see, let me pull it down just a touch. I want you to be able to still see the earth and the sun at the same time. That's important for today, but we'll just shift it a little bit. Okay, well, we'll keep it there. So today, we are talking about, I should get a stool. We are talking about the big conjunction happening tomorrow. This conjunction is actually quite special. It hasn't happened in the exact way that it's happening tomorrow. I'm going to take these off now. Since the mid-1800s. The first time this happened was 1799, and then it happens in its cycle for, 92 years, I think. But I'll explain it now. Okay, so we have the Earth here, and I want you to remember, the reason why I have you set up over here today is because I want you to remember everything is from the perspective of us being on this wobbly blue marble, styrofoam ball. Okay, so we've got this wobbly gal. We've got the sun here that does not move. That's distracting. We're going to pretend, right, that this goes around the sun, just like we know. Here is Venus. It's pink. It's one of the feminine planets. Technically, if we're going to get real technical, it's the only one. It's not really true, but that's how traditional astrology positions it. But what Venus does, basically, is hold all of the feminine qualities that get reflected down into our lives. Okay, because all this stuff is energy. And so she represents everything the goddess would represent. So it is motherhood, it's love, it's actually money. Lo and behold, the woman rules money. Values, things you do on this earth, eating, smelling, using your senses. It's actually all driven by Venus. So, okay, we've got the moving earth, the stationary sun, and Venus not colliding with the earth. So, fun fact, Venus doesn't really rotate. Rotates slower than our year takes to go around the sun. It's super slow, very stagnant. They say, and she also spins, I believe, like this. They say it's because she got collided into by another large body and it knocked her off her orbit. Because if you can tell, she is almost exactly the same as Earth. She has this similar structure, similar mass, similar size. She just doesn't rotate. But they say she used to. So it's an interesting little fact. So if you remember from my last video, orbit is when something goes around a body. Rotate is when it's on its axis. So Venus doesn't really rotate very fast. Super, super slow. All right, so I want you to remember we're here. We're on Earth. This is perspective of Earth. Venus lives in between these two. So now that you have your perspective here, I'm going to shift it just a little bit. Venus lives here. So Venus travels quite quickly around the sun. I believe it's 284 days, Earth days. And this is 365, basically. So from our perspective, it looks like it takes Venus 500 and something days, because you add up the two, to rotate around, orbit around the sun. So let me say that again, because it's a little confusing. We take 365, I wish I remembered the exact amount, 274, I believe. And when you put those two together, it's 5 something. Somebody can do the math for me quickly there. So it looks like from this planet that it takes her 500 and something days to do this. But it's not true. It only takes 274. So she is traveling at this speed. So this is what's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow is October 22nd, 2022. The last time this cycle started was 1799. So think about the planet of the feminine and how many countries were saluting to Lady Liberty at that time. America, France, probably some more that I don't know about because I'm not a real historian. I try, but I don't know everything. So there could be some of those same themes coming back in this Venus cycle because Venus is conjuncting the sun in Libra tomorrow for the first time since the mid to late 1800s. So when these cycles start, they start and they last a while. So it started 1799 and it ended mid 1800s, around just after the Civil War in America. Again, I forgot to memorize all the dates, but I think you're getting the point. Okay. I should have memorized it, but it's Friday and I wanted to get this done before tomorrow. So we'll just have to do a fact check later. All right. So what's happening here is this. Now we're going to move it back. So all these are in a line. Can you guys tell that these are lined up? You can sort of see it. I'm moving this on purpose so you can see the sun back there. All right. This is called an inferior conjunction, meaning the Earth and Venus are super close, super duper close. But the light of the sun, just want to be careful because this could come popping off, is blocking the ability to see Venus from Earth, from this planet. Does that make sense? So let's move this again. The sun is so bright and she is right in front of it from our perspective. We're not going to be able to see it. Just like you can't see any stars during the daytime, that's what's happening in an inferior conjunction. Okay, that's not what's happening tomorrow. That's just the start of her cycle. So we start an inferior conjunction where she's super duper close physically in space to the Earth. And then as she starts to go around this way, you can tell from Earth she is as far away as she will ever get visually, not necessarily in space. But from our perspective, as she starts her rotation, or her orbit, it looks like she's getting really far away. But let me just finish out the cycle. She's technically further away now, because I'm way over here, from Earth. But it looks so much closer to the sun, doesn't it? So as she rotates, it orbits, God, I can't get that straight. As she orbits away from physical space with Earth, she actually looks like she's getting further away because of the shape of the orbit of the Earth's orbit is elliptical. It's an oval. Hers is a little more round. So as we round that skinny part of the oval, it looks like she gets further away. So this is not what's happening tomorrow, but I wanted to give you that picture, is that as she goes further back in space from the Earth, she actually looks like she's getting closer. When she's in this position from here to here, she is a morning star in her cyclical, it's called synodic orbit, meaning how long it looks like it takes her to go around the sun. So this is a morning star from here to here. Morning star. That means that 2 hours before sunrise, you see Venus coming up the horizon. Actually, that's not even quite true. She just appears because she's actually quite close to the sun at all times. In your chart, you will never see Venus more than 46 degrees away from your sun. So if you're like, why do I have Venus and my sun in Pisces and Mercury in Pisces. It's because those two planets never get that far away from the sun. So many people will have conjunctions in their personal charts with the sun, Venus, and Mercury. Not always. For example, in my chart, my Venus is 44 degrees away from my sun. So it's almost as far as it completely goes. And that just means she's finishing out her cycle. So if you were born at a time when, and you can look this up, when Venus was on this side of the sun, you are a morning star Venus. That's an important part of your personality. That's not something that gets talked about in astrology a lot, but it's a very important part of your personality, whether you're an evening star or morning star. So the morning star, they say, is a lot more like warrior goddess. So this is a goddess that has two sides to her, the warrior goddess or the quote death goddess, the one that will, actually let's call her the love goddess because that's all wrapped up together. So she's the warrior goddess searching for new stuff or fighting for what's right in this world, or she is the goddess that is the all-encompassing, loving, gooey goddess that we all know, that motherly vibe, right? Well, actually, they're both pretty motherly. You know, mother, it's like mother bear versus nurturing mother. You can be either one of those things. And man, woman, whoever you are, doesn't matter. It counts for everybody. Okay, you don't have to be a feminine person to have a Venus in your chart. Everybody has it. Okay, so we're going around. We look like, I hope you can still hear me. We look like we're getting closer to the sun, right? Even though I'm as far away from Earth as possible in my orbit here with Venus, I look like I'm closer to the sun. Okay, so I can like touch it, but I'm not touching it. Okay, this is what's happening tomorrow. She is doing one of these. And if I would just move the camera a little bit, this would be one line. Tomorrow, it's this. It's a superior conjunction. So here we have inferior. Here we have superior. Okay. So every single time there is a conjunction here or a conjunction here, we have a Venus star point. This is also a part of your chart that you can look up. And what's really fucking cool about this is Venus very much represents the mother on this planet. So if you think about the Empress Tarot card, that's the mother card of the whole deck. She is represented by Venus. Her planet, the associated planet, is Venus. So here's the fun part. From this conjunction to this one is 9.5 months. The same time it takes to gestate a human child on a typical gestation basis. So that's super cool, right? So tomorrow I would really think like if you're ovulating on the new moon, you might get pregnant tomorrow. And I think that would be pretty special. Anyway, that's just my little tidbit. That's not written anywhere. That's just my little thing. Okay. So if you're a new moon ovulator, this might be the day to try to get pregnant. Okay, because then by the time the next one comes around, that's when you'll have your baby. It's super cool. So, all right, morning star. You don't see her at all for about 3 days. Sound familiar? Then she resurrects again and comes back around this way. And as soon as she gets to about here, she becomes an evening star. Meaning she is, let's move this a little bit. She is far enough away from the sun now to have a light of her own. You'll be able to see her at night, roughly around 2 hours after the sun sets. She will show up on the west sky. Most things rise in the east, right? That's how it usually works. But since she's so close to the sun and the sun just went over the western horizon, she will kind of just appear there as well 2 hours after the sun goes down. So now if you were born from this conjunction to anywhere in this space, you are an evening star. And you can tell this in your chart. If you read your own astrology charts, you can tell this in your chart by if Venus shows up before your sun, literally in the space of the chart, or after, in order of the signs. So, for example, if your Venus is in Aries and your sun is in Taurus, you are a morning star. My sun is in Taurus, my Venus is in Cancer. I am an evening star. Interesting, right? Okay. So we've got this aspect coming around, and she does this lineup thing. She's over here in Libra tomorrow at 29 degrees. She's not been in Libra, like I said, since her cycle started, 1799 to like 18. I'm really guessing here. I want to say it was, I wish I could remember. I'll look it up. But what happens is, I've got this little picture here. There's your Venus glyph and the star. So it's your Venus star point. This comes from the book Venus Star Point, by the way. You can see here, she has these sun conjunctions every second and then third sign. Second, third, second, third. Oh, then it starts over again. They're numbered. This is 1. So she will have those conjunctions in each one of these 5 signs for like 92 years, something like that. And so this is the first time since the 1800s that she's going to be in Libra. So nobody on this planet knows what this will feel like tomorrow. Nobody knows this energy. And like I said, it lasts for 9.5 months. So anybody born between now and this next conjunction will be a Libra star point in their chart. So from Earth's perspective, she will be conjunct the sun. You won't be able to see her. She'll disappear for like 3 days. This sun now, from our perspective, has moved around, right? Okay, so a part of me wishes I didn't have them all attached to the ceiling. But to wrap this up, the sun looks like it's moving around the sky, right? But we know it's really us moving. So we're going to pretend we're staying still. The sun then, every day, travels 1 degree. So tomorrow, the sun will be in 29 degrees Libra, tropical zodiac. Okay? So, having Venus, I'm just holding it up so you can see it. Venus conjunct the sun at 29 degrees Libra. Pretend Libra is in the background back here. That is the first time she's made this specific conjunction since the 1800s. So eventually, let's rewind the clock a little bit. For example, born in 1983, the sun was in, let's just say Scorpio's over here. Let's say Scorpio's in the background on my wall here. Venus was here and here. I want to say it was November 1982. So if you were born after November 1982, before 9 months after that, you were a Scorpio star point. That's me. Does that surprise you that literally everything in my chart is Scorpio? No. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up. Let me make sure there's nothing else I wanted to say, but I did want to give you that visual from the Earth's perspective of what Venus is really doing tomorrow and why it's so special. I really do also quickly want to see if I can look up when the last time that she was in. Yeah, I can do it. Okay. Oh, this chart doesn't go back all the way. Give me a sec. Gonna look up Libra. Libra. Okay. 1880. Okay. So from 71, according to this chart, 1771, and then again in 79, and then again in 83, and then all the way to 1880, she had that conjunction in Libra. So the last time anybody's ever felt this energy was 1880. 1880. Yep, 1880. Okay. Also, one more side note. Every time, watch from Earth's perspective. Can you see how she disappears, comes back around? Every time she does this, and the sun moves a tiny bit every time, she creates a 5-pointed star. And I showed you just a minute ago that 5-pointed star. It's in every second and then third sign, and second and third sign. She creates a 5-pointed star, which is very important in esoteric traditions here on Earth. And it takes her 8 years to make that 5-pointed star, complete it, and then start it over again. 8 plus 5 is 13. 13 is the number of the goddess. Hence, Venus being the goddess of the skies. So, I will leave it there. I've already talked a little longer than I wanted to because my brain's all bejumbled today. That's not a word. But anyway, yours is 35 degrees apart. Yeah, so that's meaning that Venus is really as far away that she can get visually from the sun, which means she's probably actually quite close to Earth. It's just in space, so it's pretty interesting. And you're an evening star. Me too. So what I want you to do is go now, look up if you are a morning star or an evening star, and find a table. There's tables on the internet that'll tell you, depending on your birthday, which Venus point you are. So like I said, when she's in these conjunction modes, it creates a point. That point is carried on through 9.5 months. So if you're whatever one you were born in between, that's your Venus point. That's the point that your energy is coming from whenever she's here or here. Like I said, mine is Scorpio, but it was like in November, I think. You know, it was way before I was born. It was almost quite all the way done. I think June in 83 was the next Venus point. So I just made the cutoff in Scorpio Venus point when I was born. So I was born 8 months after the last Venus point, but I still carry Scorpio Venus point energy. That, remember, is different from your actual Venus. So my Venus is in Cancer. My real Venus is in Cancer. Venus from the skies with the tropical calculation, Cancer. The point that I was born closest to was when she was over here, and that was in Scorpio. So I have that energy. So I have evening star and Scorpio Venus point energy. It's a very important and very little talked about thing in astrological charts. So it's actually one of the biggest ways you can tell your own personality comes from that, like very heavily. So check the sign that it's in, and then check if you're an evening or morning. And I'm excited to hear. Let me know what you are in the comments, and I will see you next time we do one of these crazy XR teacher teaches astrology talks. All right, bye guys.